Carrie Bradshaw, it's fair to say, is not great with money. Between a shopping addiction and an aspirational lifestyle that has set the stage for modern influencers everywhere, Carrie's money habits are wild, ridiculous, and a little relatable. Okay, likely we're not all buying $500 shoes, but I think there's something we can take away from watching Carrie's lavish lifestyle unfold on the screen. So in this video, let's dissect Carrie Bradshaw's money habits in a character financial audit. Also, if this video ends up doing well and you guys like this concept, I was thinking of maybe doing more of these, because judging specifically named real people's money habits feels a little weird, but judging a fictional characters, that feels like fair game, and that feels like education. So let me know in the comments below if you guys want to see more character financial audits, and if so, which character should I financially audit next? And first off, for those who don't know, Carrie Bradshaw is the main character in HBO's famous comedy series, Sex and the City. The show premiered over 20 years ago and was based on Candace Bushnell's book by the same title, Sex and the City. In the series, Carrie, along with her three friends, navigate New York City in their 30s while juggling careers, relationships, life, and, of course, money. Speaking of which, before we dive into all of the crazy things that Carrie Bradshaw spends her money on, first things first, how much money does she even make? According to this very thorough thought catalog article on the topic, Carrie Bradshaw might only be making $1,500 a month. This is calculated by looking at her job as a columnist for the fictional paper New York Star, where they estimate, quote, she'd make $400 per column in 2009. That's approximately $300 a column in 1998 money. Now, according to Bustle in a similar deep dive, Candace Bushnell, who wrote the Sex and the City book, used to make $5,000 per month for her Vogue column People Are Talking About. So money-wise, before Carrie was signing book deals and marrying her Wall Street boo, she was probably making anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000 a month, which translates to $18,000 to $60,000 a year. Not a ton to begin with, but especially considering that she lived in New York City, which is known as being quite a pricey place to be. So already we are seeing Carrie be in quite the financial pickle just from income alone. She doesn't make a lot of money while living in one of the most expensive cities in the world, and her job is based on her writing output. So like a freelancer, there's room for fluctuation month to month. Yes, that means sometimes she'll land some nice money, whether from a writing assignment or a random rich dude, but she just as well might have months where barely any money is coming in. Injuries or emergencies don't make for super fun comedy. Okay, barring the occasional full-bellied fall in a Dior store, but they're an important part of life to consider when thinking about your personal finances. And that is why having an emergency fund, typically a cash reserve of 3 to 6 months of expenses for emergencies, is so vital. Also, can we quickly go back to that fall for a second? Like, girlie flew across the floor. I gotta admit that I watched this clip more than a few times while writing this video because it is so good. Just look at her form. But the scene that follows that one is especially crazy because Carrie comes back with tons of Dior bags from the very store she tripped in. And why? Well,
I fell in Dior, so I decided that the more I purchased, the less they'd think of me as the American who fell in Dior.
Now I'll be honest, I have no idea how I would react in that situation if I fell flat on my face, flew on my face in the store. I think I would just like slink away to a corner and just pretend to look at things for a little while I held back tears of embarrassment, and I'd scurry out and call my parents to tell them what happened. So yeah, I don't know what I'd respond as, but I don't think that I would then go and buy thousands of dollars of stuff just so that they wouldn't think of me as the girl who tripped in the store. Personally, I don't think I would do that. But I think this scene is interesting because it hints at the relationship that most of us have with shopping and arguably with money in the first place. And that is an emotional relationship. Our money habits are fueled by emotions, whether it's insecurity and desire that makes us spend recklessly so that we can show off to others, or on the flip side, it might be fear and anxiety that makes us so nervous to spend or invest any kind of money.
You know, when I first moved to New York and I was totally broke, sometimes I would buy Vogue instead of dinner. I just felt it fed me more.
Carrie Bradshaw is a prime example of someone who uses shopping, and fashion especially, as a way to relieve stress, find escapism, and form a sense of identity that she can then use to compare herself to others. I would argue that we all do this to a degree, though it differs on what we might exactly spend on, but for Carrie, one of those top reoccurring expenses is her shoes.
Do you think they make the right statement?
Well, what statement do you want them to make?
I am beautiful and powerful, and I don't care that you're only 25 and married my ex.
And you might say, but it's good to splurge sometimes, and fashion can be a form of expression. And I would say 100% I completely agree. But that is also where the idea of conscious spending and conscious consumption come into play. Because fashion, like other forms of discretionary spending, can be fulfilling and a form of expression, but it can also veer into a form of self-soothing that sabotages our future well-being. Like the shoe brand I just showed in that clip before, those are Manolos, and I really hope that I pronounced that right, because if not, I'm gonna get roasted in the comments. And Manolos cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for a single pair. That is a lot of moolah, my friends. And not just moolah, because money is not just money. It is a representation of time, of opportunity. When we spend $1 on one thing, we can't spend it on another. There's an opportunity cost built in. And that opportunity cost only starts to sink in for Carrie when she tries to buy an apartment and realizes she ain't got much to her name.
The lady at the bank said I was an unattractive candidate for a loan. Where did all my money go? I know I made some.
At $400 a pop, how many of these do you have? 50?
Come on.
100?
Would that be wrong?
100 times 400. There's your down payment.
Well, that's only 4,000.
No, it's 40,000.
And shoes are not Carrie's only expenses. No, because Carrie has laid the groundwork for the future of modern influencing. The Financial Diet actually has a great video about this very topic, which I'll link down below. Carrie's fashion was always trendy and often designer, and as Elle breaks down in their article, How Much Did It Cost to Dress Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City, quote, in the span of just one Sex and the City season, the style icon wears an average of 140 outfit changes, including 120 pairs of heels and 100 different handbags. The total cost of one season's worth of Carrie's clothes is a whopping $175,000. For reference, that is literally higher than the top 10% of earners in the US in 2020.
I'm homeless. I'll be a bag lady, a Fendi bag lady, but a bag lady.
Now, just like modern influencers, some of this may have been gifted to our fictional Carrie or borrowed from fashion houses a la Devil Wears Prada, but we also see Carrie shopping constantly throughout the show. Her different clothes in each episode are like a separate character themselves. That, plus the taxi rides and an endless series of eating out with her friends, adds up to one expensive lifestyle. The one thing that Carrie luckily avoids when it comes to expenses, a pricey New York City rent, as her apartment is supposedly rent controlled and comes in at only $750 a month. But the overall rich lifestyle doth not mean a rich bank account. Carrie Bradshaw is not the first and will certainly not be the last to live above her means. And for Carrie at least, her over-the-top spending habits and disregard for saving leads her to have little to her name financially.
It says here that you have $700 in your checking account.
I just paid my credit card bill.
And $957 in savings? What about your assets outside the bank? Property? Stocks? Bonds?
No.
But you know, it's worth mentioning that while Carrie does buy lots of expensive clothes, shoes, and meals, I want to be careful about promoting too heavily the psychological trap where we obsess only on the money from smaller purchases while ignoring huge ways we might be losing money elsewhere. Not to say that Carrie's purchases are anywhere near small, but you know what I mean. So Carrie Bradshaw's financial position, at least in the earlier seasons of Sex and the City, is not the strongest. She isn't making much money, she's spending a ton of money to the point where she's likely in credit card debt, and she's made no moves to start investing. That being said, I get it. Sex and the City is a glamorous, fun show. It's meant to offer escapism. It portrays Carrie's life with an aspirational lifestyle, something that we as viewers can then fantasize about. It's the same formula that influencers, celebrities, and marketing agencies alike use. Luxury, trends, and consumption with little restraint. It's a tale as old as time. But, and let me just hop on my soapbox for a second, I think the downside to something like Carrie Bradshaw's aspirational lifestyle is that we may watch it and then unintentionally internalize that lifestyle as something we should genuinely aspire to. If you grew up watching Sex and the City, maybe the idea of buying $400 shoes sounds like a fairy tale. It might become this subconscious marker of success you carry as you get older and make more money. And if that is your aspiration, go for it. I'm not here to tell you to not have those kinds of goals, but instead just offer a different version or vision of what that path of success might look like. Financial security, financial freedom, I get it. It sounds really boring. I hear it too. But in real life, visually, what could that look like? It could look like not having to guilt your friends into bailing you out of your financial problems. It could look like feeling less stress and more control of your life and your money. And it could mean being able to reach your financial goals, like buying your own place or retiring early. As corny as it sounds, I really do think that financial freedom and financial security can be cool and glamorous. And honestly, they probably take up a lot less space than Manolos. Again, I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm mispronouncing it, go ahead and roast me in the comments. It's okay. All right, so back to the topic. If I were to meet Carrie Bradshaw in real life somehow, like she transports out like Tyra Banks in that doll movie that I can't remember what it's called. If that happens and she asks me, okay, what should I do? Here's what I would tell her. Well, first, I would swallow the urge to tell her to stop home wrecking. But once that judgmental side of me was squashed, I would probably tell her to start with building a budget. Start tracking expenses so she knows exactly where her money is going, and then begin writing down what her financial goals are so she has something to work toward. It's hard to make progress on a trip where you don't even know what the destination is. And that same advice goes for anyone, whether they're a Carrie Bradshaw or not. But what do you think? Would you give Carrie different advice? Is there anything that I missed in this financial audit or my advice to her? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know what you think about this format, this kind of financial audit of characters, and what other topics for videos you'd like to see me cover next. If you want to see more videos, go check out my one on how influencers don't care if you go broke, or my more recent one on the celebrity money problem. A huge thank you to my patrons on Patreon for supporting this channel and those who donate on Buy Me a Coffee. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.